Back in business, episode number 189 of the Kirby on Sports podcast. On this edition, we'll take a deep look at the Patriots win over the Bills and the Eagles win against the Dolphins on Sunday night. Plus, we'll touch on the rest of the league in the breeze around the league. And to wrap things up, the Kirby on Sports PickEm. All that and so much more comes your way next on episode 189 of the Kirby on Sports podcast. Welcome to 189 of the Kirby on Sports podcast, episode 189. That is huge thanks to our sponsors, PM Plus Reserve, Shenandoah Primitives, Dr. Dave Leadership Corporation, Mark Francis with Icon Real Estate, Barrett, Pest, and Termite Services, Shenandoah Music, Mark Lynch with Guild Mortgage, and the official energy drink of the Kirby on Sports podcast, Don't Sleep Energy. Use promo code KOS Podcast for 12% off your order every single time. Let's not waste any more time. Unfortunately, Dan cannot be with us. We wish him all the best, and we hope to see him back again next week. But we do have Carlos, the Swiss Army Knife Martinez. What's going on, buddy?
What's going on, dude? Of course, this is all you need is me, myself, and I. I mean, honestly, you don't even need to be part of the show. So, I'll take the reins from here. Goodbye. Welcome to the Carlos on Sports podcast, where today we are going to talk about everything but the Commanders. All right, you're back.
Well, I can agree with you there.
Yeah, we're gonna have to touch on them.
We're gonna have to do the thing and touch on them, which I really don't want to do. But a lot of excitement in this past week, a lot of bad games, a lot of disappointment. So we're going to break it all down. We've decided to touch on two games. First and foremost, the September champions, Buffalo Bills.
Excuse me. The back-to-back September champions. Thank you.
The back-to-back September. Carlos, last I checked, there's no trophy for winning in the month of September.
Oh, well, you should have told Buffalo because they've won back-to-back September champions, and right now they're going through a championship hangover.
Do you think back-to-back September champions warrants a banner in the rafters?
I mean, for them, yeah. I mean, they've not won anything ever in franchise history, so whatever accomplishments they can get, they should definitely commemorate them.
So the New England Patriots improved to 2-5 with their 29-25 victory over the Buffalo Bills. And boy, the Bills, I'm not bought, I'm not sold. This team, and we've mentioned it before, this Bills team is not looking good.
No, but this is how it goes every season.
Yeah. I just credit the Patriots for getting the job done. Mac Jones had a pretty decent game. Mac Jones in past weeks hasn't looked the best, but he got the job done. And hey, look here, Ezekiel Elliott with a rushing touchdown in this game.
Awesome. Glad for, happy for him for that, I guess. I mean, but no, I mean, yeah, this game was Mac Jones played fantastic. They went to a game plan that actually has worked in the past. It's it's the quick game that Mac Jones didn't even throw more than 20 yards on any pass attempt. One of the morning football shows had this graphic that showed how far every throw went, and where on the field it was. And yeah, like none of them were more than like 20 yards, like past the line of scrimmage. It was insane. But yeah, and then they also started playing their, like, the guys who can get open. They played more Kendrick Bourne. They threw more, they just like did the thing that Patriots fans wanted them to do offensively. And it was weird that it took them this long to actually do it. And then the Bills, man, that defense just is not good right now. The injuries seem to have, or that they've had, or seem to have really piled up. And, Von Miller was supposed to be back for this game. Von Miller only played like 6 snaps in the first half and then didn't play at all in the second half. They have no pass rush. I don't know, man. The Bills are just, they're just not in a good spot right now. And then Josh Allen, the roller coaster ride of Josh Allen needs to stop. He needs to play more consistent football. And you just can't help but keep thinking that the game against the Chiefs 2 years ago has broken this guy, and he thinks that this is how he needs to play all the time, instead of just being smart, methodical, and understand that you don't need to throw the ball 20 yards down the field every time and get the big play. Now, granted, it's not as if he didn't have his team in the position to win, because he did. And then it was the defense who couldn't keep the Patriots out. But at the same time, Josh Allen made a lot of mistakes in this game that helped the Patriots. So you have to put blame on him as well, because he just had, the past 3 weeks have been god awful for him. You lose, to, Trevor Lawrence and the Jacksonville Jaguars in London. Granted, it was in London and they had to fly out, and Jacksonville got, an extra week to accommodate there. Then you come back and you have to have a goal line stand against Tyrod Taylor and the Giants, and then you completely stink it up against the Patriots. Like this whole Bills team, the Bills as a whole really need to evaluate what they're doing, because right now at 4-3, it's not looking great. And granted, we have plenty of season to play. There's plenty of time to fix these issues, but some of these issues aren't issues that I think that they can just fix like quickly. Some of them is because of injuries, and it's injuries to players that are hard to replace.
Yeah, I think the Bills need to find some sort of solution. As you said, the injuries don't help, but I mean, like you said about Josh Allen throwing 20 yards down the field every time, there's
that Mac Jones.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I'm sorry. So, yeah, I'm sorry. Touching on Josh Allen, I mean, he threw 2 touchdowns in this game, but I mean, I just don't know. This offense just doesn't look like the high-powered offense we're used to seeing.
Okay, but no offense really looks like that this season, though, aside from maybe the Dolphins here and there. So you can't really necessarily say that. It's just more of Josh Allen is just not playing well. And you see it in his, quarterback ratings. They pulled, there's a chart out there of his quarterback ratings from the past, 16 games, and it's just up and down, up and down, up and down. He hits a high point and then he starts to crash. And the high point in this case was that game against the Dolphins. And now we're on that crash where he's so inconsistent, and that's something that he really, really needs to figure out, because to lose to both Zach Wilson and Mac Jones in the same season is unacceptable. Unacceptable.
If you could pinpoint, what is the main thing that you think Buffalo should address to help them sort of turn the page?
There's no one thing that's going to automatically fix this. There's just a plethora of issues that are causing this slide that the Bills are having.
And just on the other hand, the Patriots, obviously their season hasn't been the best, but a win like this against Buffalo must boost their confidence a lot going into the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, but let's not get it twisted here. The Patriots are still a bad team. They played lights out here against the Bills, but it's not like I'm expecting them to make the playoffs or anything. Like, I don't think this is necessarily going to turn things around per se, but
Yeah.
at least they're starting to do the things offensively that Mac Jones is good at, because Mac Jones is just not going to be the guy who's going to push the ball downfield and do all that and be the reason why you win. Like, you got to get it to your playmakers. You got to get it to Kendrick Bourne, who knows if he's even going to stay on this team or if he's going to be traded by the trade deadline. We don't know what's going to happen, obviously. There's a week left before the trade deadline, and I don't know. We'll see how it goes with the Patriots, but I don't foresee them. I see them getting 7 wins max.
I figured about 7 as well, but I mean, just the slow start to the season, a win like this would definitely boost confidence to go on a slight winning streak. And that's not me saying they're going to the playoffs by any stretch, but who knows? It could happen. But again, Mac Jones, he's got to continue.
Well, I mean, okay, so you say that, but here are their next. I mean, here are their next few games. So they got the Dolphins this week coming up. So yeah, it's gonna be kind of tough. We'll see how the Dolphins react to, their loss to the Eagles, which we'll touch on next. They got the Commanders, which it's not like the Commanders are playing great right now. Then you got the Colts in Germany. You got the Giants after the bye week, because then after they go to Germany, they go on a bye week. They got the Giants, the Chargers, the Steelers, and then they got the Chiefs. I mean, they could go on a little bit of a run here. They really could, because it's not like a lot of teams in front of them are that great. I mean, the real big the big teams are just the Dolphins and the Chiefs. They're gonna have to play the Chiefs later on in the season, but I mean, I mean, they could make a little bit of a run here and win some games.
Yeah, who knows? I'm just interested to see. Obviously, Mac Jones hasn't played well, but put together a really good game against this Bills team. But
yeah, against the Bills, he definitely played significantly better. But that was, I think it's because they are finally starting to, again, do the things that Josh McDaniel was doing with Mac Jones that made him, very, successful in his rookie year. Since we went over the Patriots, the Bills' next couple games, their next 6 games, they got the Buccaneers on Thursday night. They got the Bengals next Sunday, they got the Bengals, in 2 weeks, whatever. Then they got the Broncos, the Jets, the Eagles, and the Chiefs. And then they also have the Cowboys after that. So their next 7 weeks are no cakewalk. And the fact that they're 4-3 is not going to be good, because Joe Burrow is coming off the bye week, and when he comes off the bye week, he does pretty good. You got the Broncos and Jets. Realistically, they should win those, but even though they did lose to the Jets earlier this season, but they should handle those. But then you got the Eagles, then you got the Chiefs, and then you got the Cowboys, then you got the Chargers, then you got the Patriots again, and then you got the Dolphins to close out the season. The end of their season is going to be brutal.
yeah, I think it's make or break with that schedule you just listed off.
Like, they're going to have, because like this was
Sink or swim.
This was the easier part of their schedule. They needed to pad this. They needed to get as many wins throughout this part, and as obviously as little losses, considering how much of a gauntlet they're going to go through at the end of the season. It'll be interesting to see how they close things out.
Definitely, indeed. I think it's gonna be tough to say right now, but that strength of schedule there, as I just mentioned, sink or swim.
It's gonna be tough.
Can you go on a run and win some more games, or are the September champs gonna do what they do best?
And get crowned in September, and then once we get to the playoffs, they fizzle out, in the divisional round.
Absolutely. But the New England Patriots over the Buffalo Bills, 29-25, in right here on the Kirby on Sports podcast. We will take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll touch on a very exciting but yet one-sided Sunday night football game in the Eagles and Dolphins. We'll be right back. For sports fans living in condominium and homeowners associations, as well as business professionals, when you need a reserve study, PM Plus Reserves has been in business since 1990. Their studies are accurate and easy to understand. Check them out when your association needs a study. www.pmplusreserves.com. You can also contact them at 703-803-8436. Once again, www.pmplusreserves.com. Is it finally time to upgrade your home's interior? How about with an authentic farm table made locally from recycled barnwood? Shenandoah Primitives, based right here in Winchester, Virginia, makes farm tables, benches, tables, coffee tables, and a long list of other items for your home decorating needs. At Shenandoah Primitives, function and style are combined for great furniture that will last generations. If you're interested in combining the industrial look of metal with wood, or considering something incredibly unique with a live edge, Shenandoah Primitives turns those ideas into reality. Thinking about a mirror, wine rack, or other accent piece for your home, Shenandoah Primitives can assist with that as well. As a local small business, Shenandoah Primitives is happy to work with each client for a custom design or schedule an appointment to come out and view current inventory. Local, high-quality, handmade items can be found at Shenandoah Primitives. Find us on Facebook and Instagram or visit us at www.shenandoahprimitives.com. Once again, that's www.shenandoahprimitives.com. All right, we're back. Now it's time to touch on a Sunday night matchup, the Miami Dolphins versus the Philadelphia Eagles. And Carlos, I'm not sure if you had a preference, but the Kelly green uniforms looked pretty good.
I love the Kelly Greens. I really do.
I mean, the Eagles, the flying, soaring bird in the middle of the field, the 50-yard line, and then the Eagles in script, and then just the green. And then on the sideline, too, you could see it on Nick Sirianni, just the green hoodie that they were wearing. That branding looks really, really nice.
Yeah. I just like how NBC even like changed the logo for the Eagles and didn't keep their normal logo. So like they like bought into the whole thing. Yeah, the Kelly Greens are great. I'm happy that the NFL's letting teams bring these types of jerseys back and they're relaxing on their uniform rules. But yeah, I mean they're still the Eagles and I still hate them, even though I picked them to win. So, I was the only one who picked them to win, by the way, on our pick'ems. I was the only one. You guys bought into the Dolphins, but something was telling me the Eagles. Something was telling me the Eagles.
Yeah, so the Eagles defeating the Dolphins 31-17. I'll tell you one thing straight off the bat: the Jalen Hurts to AJ Brown connection was fire all night long.
Yeah,
57 total fantasy points in my league.
Yeah, I mean, AJ Brown had 10 receptions, 137 yards, a touchdown. Jalen Hurts was 23 for 31, 279 yards, 2 touchdowns. And of course, he had that god-awful interception, which is right now the key thing that Jalen Hurts needs to work on. He needs to definitely clean up his interceptions. I'm not entirely sure what his current season stats are. He is right now. He has thrown for the season 8 interceptions, 9 touchdowns, and 8 interceptions. That's unacceptable. Again, the national media, crucifies Dak Prescott for all the interceptions he threw last year, and this year they're, not a peep from anybody. But I mean, I can't say that. I've heard some shows, but it's more of like, oh, he needs to clean it up, and he'll be, the quarterback he was last year. But again, for Dak Prescott, it's the end of the world that he threw, that he was tied for the most interceptions last year. But yeah, no, they played fantastic. They responded well to, to the loss to the Jets. They came out against obviously a stronger, better opponent. And they smacked them in the mouth. And again, this has been the thing with the Dolphins is, against the lesser teams, they can, they can, they bully them around. But once they face, they're a lot like the Cowboys. Once they face a real one, then they they can't really respond. It's just more of like the Eagles were much more physical, and the Dolphins are all finesse right now. And they just can't keep up with that style of play that the Eagles and that the Bills, implement, where they're gonna, hit you in the mouth pretty much.
That game got close for a little while there after that Jalen Hurts interception. The Dolphins actually took it back for a touchdown to tie the game. But after that, it was the A.J. Brown touchdown, then Kenneth Gainwell, and pretty much just sealed the game from there. But the Dolphins kept it close towards that middle part of the game before the Eagles just slammed their foot on the gas pedal to rev on to a victory.
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, the game was close, like you said. It was tied, with 4 minutes, left in the third quarter, and then the AJ Brown touchdown happened, and then like you said, Kenneth Gainwell sealed the deal. And obviously, there's a lot of talk of the the brotherly shove, the tush push, whichever one you want to call it.
Holy cow! They ran that so well.
Yeah, and
Jeez.
they're the only team that really does. As we saw it, a lot, especially this week. I feel like we saw it a lot. A lot of teams try to run it, and they just could not do it. And I don't think the move should be banned, but it's gonna be banned, or like the play,
Probably
it's
so.
gonna be banned. It shouldn't. I think it's just like it's a case of, hey, you got to find a way to stop this. And you saw San Francisco's ways. Fred Warner just jumped clean over everybody and just grabbed onto Kirk Cousins. It was a crazy display of athleticism by Fred Warner. Like that was like, but even that, sure, he stopped Kirk Cousins, but Kirk Cousins just isn't that type of quarterback anyways. But like a Jalen Hurts, I feel like the only way that play really, like the Eagles stop running that play is if like something happens to Jalen Hurts on that play, which is not out of the question considering how many bodies are pushing him and crashing on him. And right now he's wearing a knee brace, so he is hurt. But yeah, I mean the Eagles, they did well, and obviously you're not going to be able to completely shut down this Dolphins team. They're just too explosive. Tyreek Hill is an absolute beast. There was a side-by-side video of basically Tua recreated the final play from the national championship game that he came in to replace Jalen Hurts on, where he threw the touchdown to Devontae Smith to win the game. Mm-hmm. He basically, it was a side-by-side comparison with that and the touchdown he threw to Tyreek Hill here in this game, and they were almost identical. It was crazy. And yeah, so you're not going to be able to obviously contain that, and I don't know. I think we do have to have a conversation about the Dolphins, because when you really look at who they've beaten, all the teams that they've beaten have top 10 draft picks right now. Like they're in the top 10 of the draft, and their losses are to two good playoff teams that are probably going to be in the playoffs again. So we do have to have a question with the Dolphins of, are they really as good as people are making them out to be, or are they a bunch of paper tigers who can beat the lower level teams, the teams that they're supposed to beat, but they're not, and they're just not tough enough to beat the actual contenders.
I think that's a good point to be had, because looking at the stats, obviously, but because we've seen the Dolphins and they couldn't beat the Bills, but the September champs. So, but the Eagles, a really good football team in the NFC East, with a hiccup in the loss against the New York Jets, but getting right back on track with this win, Carlos. I think that's a really good point, because if you can't beat the teams who are projected to be in the playoffs, how do you fare once you get into the playoffs if the Dolphins get into the playoffs?
Yeah, and that's going to, and on top of that, It's obviously they play in Miami, so they're used to playing more in warm weather, and a lot of these teams, a lot of these AFC teams, are cold weather teams that are going to be in the playoffs. The Bills, obviously, it's going to get colder. The Chiefs, Arrowhead gets super cold, during January, February. So I don't know, man. It'll be interesting to see how they respond. Obviously, they're gonna get more help coming back. They're gonna get Xavier Howard back. They're gonna Jalen Ramsey hasn't even played a single snap for them yet because he's been injured. So once he comes back, I expect this Dolphins defense to get significantly better once they get these guys back. But right now it's just not looking. Yeah, it's just not great right now because against the teams that they need to be competing with, they're just not showing up.
So all in all, a very exciting game, but then the Eagles just pulling away with the victory as the Eagles defeat the Dolphins 31-17. I know next week for the Eagles should more than likely be a cakewalk, so you might want to just mark that down as 7-1 for the Philadelphia Eagles. And as you just mentioned, Carlos, we'll have to see how the rest of the season goes for this Miami Dolphins team. They're explosive. They have weapons. I'm not taking anything away from that, but the type of teams they're beating is something that you have to put into consideration when it comes to, are the Dolphins suited? Are they set for the playoffs?
Yep, totally agree.
So once again, the Eagles 31, the Dolphins 17. We are rolling right along right here on the Kirby on Sports podcast. And when we come back, we'll breeze around the rest of the NFL. Stick right here with us.
Hey, sports fans. Thank you for listening to and supporting the Kirby on Sports podcast with founder and host Josh Kirby, along with lead contributor Dan Dembski. Like, subscribe, and give them a 5-star rating wherever you get your podcast from. My name is Dr. Dave Miles, founder of Dr. Dave Leadership Corporation. Our company helps leaders build engaged and productive teams. Exclusively for listeners of the Kirby on Sports podcast, you can take an opportunity to discover your primary communication style and learn more about effective communication with others. Text Kirby to 757-903-0743 for your free copy of the Working From Home Communication Assessment, where you'll learn your primary communication style, how to better communicate with others not like you, and tips on working remotely based on your personal communication style. 10 minutes, tons of resources. Learn about yourself and your team. Again, text Kirby to 757-903-0743 for your free assessment report today. I'm Dr. Dave Miles, founder of Dr. Dave Leadership Corporation, where we help you and your team be more engaged and productive by understanding each other better.
Hey, Kirby on Sports podcast listeners, Mark Francis with Icon Real Estate here. It may seem scary or daunting at first to think about buying or selling a home. Well, look no further. Give me a call, 540-247-1527. There's nothing more than I love to do than help my friends make those transactions fun, interesting, and at the end of the day, productive. Look me up online, iconsales.com, and even better, find me on my podcast, Iconic Talk, with my co-host Megan Eanes on any podcast platform. We will share all the local news about real estate markets and our local community. It's educational. Look us up. We love to help you. Iconsales.com, 540-247-1527. Josh, back to you.
It's now time for the breeze around the NFL. But before we do, big shout out once again to Don't Sleep Energy, the official energy drink of the Kirby on Sports podcast. They have some new stuff, some new drink items, and some new merchandise. Go out today on their website, don'tsleepenergy.com, or Amazon. You can find their Amazon shop as well. Use promo code KOS Podcast for 12% off your order every single time. Carlos, are you ready for this?
Let's go.
Let's get it going. The breeze around the NFL. The Falcons knocking down the Buccaneers 16-13. A close game on paper, but it seemed like the Falcons were a little bit more dominant in this game.
Yeah, I mean the Buccaneers offense going to get going, but it's not as if Desmond Ridder didn't try to give this game away. Desmond Ritter's the worst quarterback I've seen play in a long time. The crazy thing is, they just might make the playoffs because they're about to hit a cookie cutter, part of their schedule, which is insane to me. And this division's up for grabs. I mean, there's no real dominant team here in the NFC South, and this is just this is terrible.
The Browns over the Colts in what looked to be a very exciting matchup in Indianapolis.
It was not. It was some of the worst football I've seen. Granted, the scoreline makes it seem like it was good, but no, we got to talk about Deshaun Watson. What is going on there? Like, somebody really needs to figure out what's happening because this makes no sense. You're cleared from your injury, but you still decide not to play. You go into concussion protocol, you get cleared from concussion protocol, but yet you still decide not to come out and play. You got signed this big, fully guaranteed contract. I don't remember the exact number. I think it's like over 200 million, fully guaranteed. Yet you have done absolutely nothing as the Browns quarterback. What are we doing here? Like, come on, dude. Like, I understand and the excuse is, we didn't want him to take more hits. We didn't want this is football. This is what it is. Get out there. Your team needs you to win. Luckily, PJ Walker pulled out another victory, but they should have dominated the Colts. They really should have.
Yeah, I agree there. They got to figure out what's going on with Deshaun Watson, and hopefully they figure that out quickly. Moving on, a complete domination as the Ravens defeat the Lions 38-6.
It was a proper ass kicking, if you will. I wish Dan was here to celebrate in this. Man, Lamar Jackson looked incredible. This is the Ravens team that has been promised for years. Now, the only thing they have to do, now obviously they're not going to play at this level for the rest of the season, but we have now seen the peak. So if they can maintain and make it to the playoffs, they're going to be a team that I'm not sure a lot of teams want to face. And, they very well could make a run at the Super Bowl, dare I say. But we'll see. It depends if they can stay healthy. But, yeah, Lamar Jackson was absolutely at the peak of his powers here. He was dishing. He was cooking. He was cooking with gas was what he was cooking with.
Absolutely.
And the Lions, they can't take this loss completely out of proportion. At the end of the day, the rebuild is going well.
Going very well.
But there's levels to this, right? And this was a good game to see where you guys were at. You guys are clearly not on the same level as the Ravens, but you guys are still heading in the right direction. Take this loss, reevaluate what worked and what didn't, and just go up from here. Obviously, they have some issues, with Jameson Williams and, him struggling to kind of adjust to the NFL. And Jared Goff didn't necessarily play the best, but I mean, the Ravens had 28 points on the board before the Lions got their first down. That's insane to me. The Ravens did a fantastic job. They look like they're finally starting to ascend to the level that we kind of expect them to be at.
Yeah, I forget who it was, but somebody in the post-game presser says this is where we separate ourselves from the rest of the teams in the AFC in terms of their gameplay and performance, jumping up to that next level. I think we saw some of that, but can they continue that?
Well, we know what the thing that has hampered them the past couple seasons has been injuries.
Absolutely.
So that's what that's going to be the thing here. Can they maintain that level of play, which they have a good coaching staff around them? I think their offense is finally starting to catch on to this new offensive scheme. And obviously their defense is playing lights out, but can they stay healthy? That has been the biggest issue with the Ravens. They have struggled to stay healthy. If they can stay healthy, and if Lamar Jackson can continue playing at this level, which we all know he can, then we got ourselves a contender returning to the field.
It's going to be really interesting. But for the Lions, I think this is just another loss. I don't think the Lions go into panic mode or anything.
Yeah, I mean, look, they shouldn't go into panic mode. They have a pretty, manageable schedule coming up. The only real threat here on out is honestly going to be the Cowboys on their schedule, but that's later in the season. So they have plenty of time to pad up their their wins and, get into the playoffs. They're going to be a playoff team. Like, I'm not worried about that. The Lions will make the playoffs. They will host a playoff game, and I think they're going to win a playoff game, but I'm not, they're definitely not a Super Bowl bound team this season, but they're definitely on their way to being a true contender if they stay the course, because they're doing a good job right now.
The Ravens over the Lions 38-6. Moving on. Tyson Bagent in the Bears over the Raiders 30-12. Big congrats to local talent Tyson Bagent.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't light the world up on fire, but he didn't need to. He just needed to take care of the ball. He had a he had a pretty good performance.
You don't need to light up the world when Brian Hoyer's on the other end.
Now he's going to play on Sunday Night Football in one of the most awful games of all time, right? Yeah.
Sunday Night Football.
Yeah, I mean, it's not going to be exciting.
But
Herbert's probably going to light up here, but Tyson, we'll see what happens.
But the Raiders and Brian Hoyer, I'm like this.
The Raiders just are not a good team, man. They just don't have it.
Yeah, I don't know. But, we'll get into our picks later. But seeing this upcoming Sunday night matchup, it's going to be very, very interesting. All right, let's rip this Band-Aid off. The Giants over the Commanders 14-7.
All right, talk to me.
Barrett
needs to be fired. We all know that.
Yes. I'm starting to fear that after this season, both Rivera and Bieniemy are going to get let go. I heard Stephen A. Smith say something, and
whoa, do not use Stephen A. Smith as your source. Never use him as your source. The hell are you doing? Hell are you doing? What are you really? You really invoked Stephen A. Smith on this podcast. I heard from Stephen A. Smith that
I heard it on the show.
Don't ever listen to Stephen A. Smith. Is not a reliable and credible source, especially when it comes to the Commanders. Stop, okay? I know exactly.
Are you just mad because he hates the Cowboys?
I don't know. He's just he's a pun. Like, he's just a personality. Like, never take his words for anything.
Well, he mentioned that Rivera
and whatever he wants. Stop bringing it up. Yes, Rivera. I feel like if he does not get it together, and I don't think he will, is going to be let go at the end of the year. I think he makes it through the season somehow, some way. He makes it through the season, but I don't think they're going to let go of Bieniemy. I don't. I really don't think they let go of Bieniemy because
I would like for them to keep him also. So I'm interested to see from that aspect, but. Week in and week out, this team is behind the chains every single week. And you can't go into every game playing catch up.
Agreed.
This game should have easily been 21-7, but Kayvon Thibodeau didn't have his eyes on the football. So
yeah, you're right.
That's one thing. And I mean, the Giants scored 14 points in the second quarter. The Commanders scored 7 in the third quarter. I mean, if there was an opportunity to win this game, the Commanders had a lot of chances.
Mm-hmm.
They did not convert.
So
they got smacked in the mouth in their secondary.
Okay, hold on. Here's what I'll say.
Their O-line does not look good either.
Here's what I'll say, Kirby, okay? We all know the secondary is terrible, okay?
And
we all know that. We all know that. But there's nothing you guys are going to be able to do to fix it right now. Like, there's no trade out there that you guys can make because for shutdown corners and for good corners, they're just not out there in the market right now where teams are going to be willing to trade them to you for a reasonable price. Right? Like, you're going to have to sell the farm to get those types of guys. But, I mean, It's just these are divisional games, man, and divisional games are weird. This is how it kind of went last year too with you guys and the Giants, although last time you guys tied.
Mhm.
But I don't know, man. Bieniemy does need to get his play calling together. He needs to start, but it could also be a case of maybe he just doesn't trust Sam Howell. Maybe Sam Howell just isn't the answer for you guys. That the way you guys, I'm not saying you specifically, but I'm talking about just the fan base. The way you guys, hailed Sam Howell just because he had a great performance against the Dallas Cowboys last season. It's there's a reason why he was a late round pick, or a late whatever draft pick, whatever mid round pick. I don't know. I think Washington. It's not as if you guys don't have the weapons. You guys have plenty of talent, but for some reason it's not clicking. And Bieniemy needs to figure the offense out. The defense is, trying their best, but that secondary has just not great. And right now is the time of the season where you guys should be racking up wins to at least try to make a push to the wild card, and it's just not happening.
It's not, and I think it stems from the top and Ron Rivera.
I think Ron Rivera was good for when he was hired, but I think it's definitely time for a change.
Just like the Panthers, he got hired, took the Panthers to the Super Bowl, and he just falls flat.
Yeah.
Every time. Look at the records.
I think he was the right coach for the time when he was hired, but I don't think he's the right coach now. I think for this team to take the next step, and especially with the new ownership and everything, I think for sure they need to go in a different direction. Whether it's promote Bieniemy to head coach, I don't know if he's shown that he does. I mean, I think Bieniemy should already be a head coach considering everything he did at Kansas City. But what he's showing here in Washington, I don't necessarily know if they even. I don't know if they go that route. I think, but there's still so much season left, so we'll see what happens.
So the Giants over the Commanders 14-7. And did I mention Tyrod Taylor was the starter in this game?
Who cares?
Just had to throw that out.
Yeah, because for some reason you're the one who brings up the Hokies, but the one who actually graduated from Virginia Tech doesn't bring him up.
The Seahawks over the Cardinals 20-10.
Yeah, I don't care.
The Steelers over the Rams 24-17.
Refs botched the call. I don't care. Oh, good for you, though, Kirby. You are the only one that picked the Steelers, though.
Hey, thank you very much. I do appreciate those kind words. The Denver Broncos with their second win of the season over the Green Bay Packers.
Are we concerned for Jordan Love?
A little bit.
Yeah, it's his first season as a starter. He hasn't played a lot of football in the past few years. So you just got to give the kid some time. It's not like, again, Aaron Rodgers didn't light it up immediately as soon as he came in and was the quarterback. So you got to give this kid some time. But yeah, he did not have a great game.
Absolutely. I mean, we'll just have to wait and see. All right, here we go. Another Swifty game. The Chiefs over the Chargers 31-17. Taylor Swift was wearing a long sleeve Chiefs shirt.
Why are we describing what she's wearing? What are we doing, Kirby?
She was dancing with Mahomes' wife too.
Let's talk about the game, okay? Like, we really don't have to do this. Like, everybody knows it's all over the internet. Like, stop. I don't know what you're doing here.
You're getting so annoyed like you aren't a Taylor Swift fan, buddy.
I am a big Taylor Swift fan, okay? I'm the Swiftie of the podcast, but like, dude, like, you're doing too much here. Like, why are we describing what she's wearing? Like, everybody saw already. We don't have to cover this.
Well, the Chiefs beat the Chargers, Carlos, and it looked like the Mahomes-Kelsey connection was pretty good, and Isaiah Pacheco
stronger than ever. The connection is just, it's unbeatable. Unfortunately, their streak of completions in a row got broken at 29 completions in a row. But yeah, we looked good. The offense finally looked good. They looked explosive in the second half. The Chargers definitely adjusted. And so did the Chiefs defense. They also adjusted, but this was probably the first time in a while where they played the Chargers that they kind of won comfortably, because normally against the Chargers, it's usually just a battle, and it's usually the last drive of the game where the Chiefs pull it out. But this time, that Chiefs defense, man, is just so good. They really shut down the Chargers in the second half. Like the Chargers had nothing for us. And just great job all around. And another win for the boys.
And Thursday night, the Jaguars over the Saints 31-24.
Derek Carr stinks.
Are those your only thoughts?
Yeah, I don't really have a lot of thoughts on this game.
Yeah, I didn't really watch either, but I picked the Jags. So
that you did.
Yeah. Last but not least, the Vikings over the 49ers.
Wait, I was on the list on things that I just realized that. I thought we were going to go in depth on this one because I didn't change that, but whatever. Anyways, go on.
The Vikings over the 49ers, 22-17.
Yes, the veil of perfection of Brock Purdy has finally fallen. People are finally.
That last pick looked terrible, by the way.
Well, that one he was trying to force it. The first one that was on Greg Jennings more than anything. Greg Jennings ruined the timing. That was a timing route. So, but Kirk Cousins, dude, he played fantastic.
Absolutely.
It's just funny because, Kirk Cousins, obviously the quarterback that Kyle Shanahan has wanted for a long time. And then for him to just light it up against him in prime time, obviously with Kirk Cousins' woes on prime time is hilarious to me. Revenge for Kirk Cousins also, because a few years ago, remember, the 49ers knocked out the Vikings with Jimmy G barely passing the ball. Fantastic performance by the Vikings. I think this kind of maybe helped save their season. This is a big deal that they beat the 49ers and that they looked this good beating the 49ers, because again, it wasn't that long ago that the 49ers were, beating the brakes off the Dallas Cowboys. But since they've beaten the Dallas Cowboys, they lost to the Browns, and now they lost to the Vikings.
Yeah. Do we think there's an issue with the 49ers or just two hiccups?
I think it stems from you didn't have your best left tackle. You didn't have Debo. But I think it also stems from Brock Purdy is just not actually as good as people were making him out to be. I think Brock Purdy's finally starting to deal with some adversity. He's starting to deal with teams having more film on him, teams being able to scheme better for him. And look, Brock Purdy does not have the biggest arm. Brock Purdy does not have, the physical stature of say a Patrick Mahomes, but his biggest strength has been he hasn't made mistakes, but now he's starting to make mistakes. So is he going to start second guessing himself, or is he going to be able to push on from this and, and continue on? I mean, I'm not ready to count. I'm not counting the 49ers out. I'm not calling the 49ers frauds like you are.
That was a joke, obviously.
Okay, sure, whatever. I'm not calling them frauds. I think their defense is still their defense, but I think they got to understand that, they still don't have the quarterback who's going to, win them the game. They still don't have, that guy. The defense is still going to have to win the games for them.
Absolutely. So the Vikings over the 49ers 22-17. What a great week in the NFL. And there is nothing better than our next segment as we get into the Kirby on Sports PickEm. It all comes your way next, right after this.
You may have heard the saying, it's not if your home will get termites, it's when. At Barrett Pest and Termite Services, we're doing our best to refute that saying one home at a time. Our thorough inspections and treatments are designed to keep your home or business termite-free. Termites cause $5 billion in damages every year. A preemptive inspection is one of the best ways to keep that from happening to you. Because once you see evidence of termites with the naked eye, you can be sure they've already been at work for some time. Put a stop to termites and the damage they do by calling Barrett Pest and Termite Services 540-340-3922. Barrett Pest and Termite Services 540-340-3922.
Hi, this is Mark Peter Lynch with Guild Mortgage. One of the greatest joys in doing business over the last 30 years in the Shenandoah Valley is helping people buy their first home. Buying their first home and putting the keys in their hand at the closing table has brought me so much joy. If you want to buy your first home, a second home, or an investment property, or build wealth through investment in real estate, give me a call. My phone number is 540-664-4700, or you can find me on the World Wide Web at www.marksmortgage.com.
It's Matt from Shenandoah Music. Nobody wants to hear this, but Christmas is just around the corner. You could wait to start shopping while everything sells out, or you could come into Shenandoah Music for our pre-Black Friday sale. From October 26th through the 31st, we're taking 20% off Fender American Pro guitars, 10% off Ibanez hollow body electric guitars, 30% off student band instruments, and more. And use the Shenandoah Music credit card to buy now and pay later. So when you think music, think Shenandoah Music in Winchester across from B-Dubs.
Welcome back to the Kirby on Sports podcast. It's now time to get to the Kirby on Sports PickEm. Carlos, take it away.
Pull it up.
There we go.
Jesus.
That took
Rookies here? Like, my God. All right. So after 7 beautiful weeks of football, we have arrived to just about the halfway point of the season. We're almost there. Man, this season's kind of flying by. I'm not going to lie. With that being said, your boy, the reigning defending champion, is still in last place, but not by much, only by a game. At 23-19, I went 3-3 this past week. Dan had the roughest of weeks, despite the fact that his team looked fantastic. Dan and Kirby are both tied at 24-18. Dan went 2-4 for the week, and Kirby also went 3-3 for the week. So with that being said, you guys are messing up here. You guys are letting me stick around, and I'm going to get hot. And when I get hot, it's game over. It's game over. It's game over. Anywho, so I'll start with my picks, and then I'll go with Dan's picks also. So I will take. So the games we're doing this week for the pick'ems are Bengals, 49ers, Rams, Cowboys, Browns, Seahawks, Jaguars, Steelers, Vikings, Packers, and Falcons, Titans. Not a lot of great games this week, to be completely honest. I had a really hard time doing the pick'em. Next week, I already have my list ready. We're gonna have a good week. And of course, I'm not sure if we're ready to announce it, so we'll wait until next week, just in case. Anyways, so for my picks, I will be taking the 49ers over the Bengals. I will be taking the Cowboys over the Rams because I'm contractually obligated to do so. I will take the Seahawks over the Browns. I will take the Jaguars over the Steelers. I will take the Vikings over the Packers, and I will take the Falcons over the Titans. Dan, obviously, who can't be here, is taking the 49ers over the Bengals. He's taking the Cowboys over the Rams. He's also taking the Seahawks over the Browns. He's taking the Jaguars over the Steelers. He's taking the Vikings over the Packers. And the only different pick that he made compared to me was he's taking the Titans over the Falcons instead. So with that all being said, Kirby, go ahead.
All right. Thank you, Carlos. I will be taking the 49ers over the Bengals, the Dallas Cowboys over the Rams. I picked this before I realized Deshaun Watson was having more.
They are saying he's supposed to play on Sunday. So
I think the Browns have the slight edge over the Seahawks, but again, this one's a toss-up.
Wild statement to make, but go ahead.
This one's a toss-up.
Mm-hmm.
It really is. Mm-hmm. I'm picking the Steelers over the Jags.
They haven't let you down yet.
Not yet. Maybe this week. Who knows? The Packers over the Vikings.
This one was wild to me. Please explain this pick. Please explain it.
Well, I mean, what was it? I don't even know, to be honest. I really don't.
You just picked them for some reason?
I picked them because the Vikings were trending down, kept losing games, and then they beat the 49ers.
Yeah, but comparatively, I mean, I don't know. I mean, look, the Packers could.
But it's a division game.
You're right. It's
a division game, so it could go either way.
You're right. You're absolutely right.
So
that's a fair point.
And I mean, if I pick it wrong,
then you pick it wrong. It is what it is.
And I'm a failure to society.
Well, you've lost 2 years in a row, so it's not surprising.
Yes, sir. And I'll pick the Falcons over the Titans. I think the Falcons have the slight edge after the win. And
Desmond Ritter's going to try to lose this game.
He will try very much so. So
also, hold on. Well, you know what we didn't touch? The whole Bijan thing.
Yeah.
What was that?
I don't know. The league is questioning the Falcons because if he was hurt and couldn't play, you have to list it on the injury report. That could come back with some fines, but who knows?
Yeah, I mean, the only thing they said is that he wasn't feeling well, but it's like, obviously there's money being bet on these games, all this stuff.
They've cracked down on the betting, though.
No, but what I'm saying is for fans, like this is information you need because I'm pretty sure there are people who lost money because of this.
Probably so.
And if the NFL's partnering with these, with FanDuel and DraftKings and all that stuff, that's information that needs to be put out there for people. Because again, there's a lot of money at stake now.
Absolutely. But I know it's going to be interesting how they rule this. If he should have been on some injury report or not.
Well, I mean, if he had an illness, and apparently, the illness didn't hit on until Saturday night, is what I've seen on all reporting on this. So it was kind of like a last minute thing, but still, it should have been something that was said during the Sunday pre-games. Hey, he's game time decision. He's questionable, something, with an illness. I don't know.
Yeah, who knows? But that is the Week 8 Kirby on Sports PickEm. Again, once we post this on our social medias, comment on our Facebook page between the teams that we have selected. If you pick the most right this week, you win a free pizza from Anthony's Pizza, home of the Warrior in Stevens City, Virginia. So big thanks to Anthony's Pizza in Stevens City for making that happen. And once again, that was the Kirby on Sports Pick'em. That about wraps it up for another edition of the Kirby on Sports podcast. My friend, obviously, we do miss Dan, and we hope he gets better really soon. But it's always a pleasure chopping it up with you.
Always. I do not have a closing today, by the way, so we're good.
All right. You do not have a closing?
I don't have one.
The Kirby on Sports podcast would like to thank their sponsors, PM Plus Reserves, Shenandoah Primitives, Dr. Dave Leadership Corporation, Mark Francis with Icon Real Estate, Barrett Pest and Termite Services, Shenandoah Music, Mark Lynch with Guild Mortgage, and Don't Sleep Energy, the official energy drink of the Kirby on Sports podcast. Use promo code KOS Podcast for 12% off your order every single time. Make sure you find the Kirby on Sports podcast on all streaming platforms and all listening platforms, along with YouTube. Please like, comment, and subscribe on YouTube as well, along with our website, www.kirbyonsports.com. For Carlos Martinez, I'm Josh Kirby. Until the next time you hear us or see us, always remember to create greatness. We say so long and peace out.